Hey, this is the Recklessly Skeptical podcast, and this is Matt.
My name's Josh.
I'm Joe.
And Joe, do you want to introduce your friend?
Yeah, this is a long-time friend. We've known each other, since
grade.
Fifth grade, yeah.
Or fourth for me, fifth for you.
Yeah, a long time. We've known each other a long time, and his name is Cameron Terrio.
Well, thank you for the introduction, sir.
Yeah, good to have you. So you can find Spreaker, or you can find this podcast now back on Spreaker.
We're back on Spreaker, people.
And on YouTube, as always. And you can find our other channels on YouTube, The Evil Atheist and
ZZZ Giant Awake.
And also, come join us on Facebook, The Evil Atheist Closed Group, not the community page.
It's lots of fun.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started. And we're starting with the primary results. Did you guys watch the primaries at all yesterday?
Yes, I did.
How about you, Joe?
No, I didn't.
Ah, you're such a son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
So the results that came in, and this is rough estimates. I don't have the exact percentages, but Hillary beat Bernie pretty handedly. Unfortunately, she won.
Oh, yeah, actually, I did pay attention to that all day. I don't know why.
Joe forgot what the word primary means.
Yeah.
My bad.
So the Nevada Democratic Caucus happened yesterday. Hillary won by 53 to 47%. I'm not sure if that's like 52.5% rounded up and 47.5% rounded down. I don't know exactly. But essentially, she beat Bernie by about 6 points, and I think that ended up being a couple of delegate difference. I'll have to look into that.
It's not too much. I think it was 19 to 15 or something.
All right, and then on the Republican side, Donald Trump won 33% to the next closest follower, which is Marco Rubio, 23%, and Donald Trump won by enough to sweep all of the
delegates.
Yeah,
And didn't Ted Cruz come in third?
Yep, with 22%, so a hair behind Marco Rubio. So some of the results that come out of this is that this really diminishes, since I'm going to be honest about it, it does somewhat diminish Bernie's chances of becoming the Democratic nominee.
Well, they're tied in delegates now, not super delegates who still have a chance to change.
Yeah. And that's one of the things, like you read in the headlines this morning, or I read on MSNBC, the front runners cement their lead, and it's like, no, Hillary didn't really cement a lead if we're looking at delegates. She just caught up to Bernie.
And Bernie actually has a higher popular vote.
Yeah.
Compared to hers is like 93,000 and Bernie's is like 175 or something like that.
I think it's just the establishment, coming out and trying to crush everybody's hopes and hoping people don't go and vote so they can get Hillary in.
Yeah, and that's going to be especially important coming up on Tuesday, because that's when South Carolina happens for the Democrats. And, I mean, Bernie's going to almost definitely lose just because of how popular Hillary is with black voters right now. Yeah, I know. It's frustrating because I know
a lot of the black voters are moving to Bernie.
Yeah, but it's slowly. Like, this has been the slowest moving demographic to date. And one thing I did want to focus on in the exit polls is actually, let me pull it up.
Also, Obama lost to Hillary in Nevada by a much bigger margin, and he went on to be president. So,
but that's where the difference is going to be. Is South Carolina, he won pretty handedly against Hillary, and this is going to be kind of the opposite, where Hillary's going to win pretty handedly against.
I don't like your attitude.
I wish I could be in a different attitude.
You negative Nancy. Go fuck yourself. Bernie. Okay. Fuck you guys.
But he won the Hispanic vote, which is huge. That's one of the big things that isn't getting covered that came out of this, is that Bernie won a Hispanic vote by, I think it was 10 points.
It was quite a bit.
Trying to find it.
The Hispanic boat?
Yeah, what's the Hispanic boat?
Is that how they get here?
It's kind of expensive.
Yeah, so I would have to look through this more, but let's move forward while I look for this, and I'll have two more stats to add to it.
All right. So a pro-Confederate group endorses Donald Trump in South Carolina. I'm sure you guys saw that one coming. So a South Carolina group dedicated to defense of the proudly Confederate South rallied at the State House here on Saturday, showcasing a mixture of Confederate flags and signs supporting Donald Trump as the Republican presidential primary unfolded across the state. And I watched, there's a video linked, this is Yahoo Politics, there's a video linked if you go and search it, and it's the guy, who, I don't know if he's like the leader of this group or whatever, but he's like, if Trump gets in there and he just builds a wall and that's all he does in his 4 years, that's good enough. So you're racist.
I want to touch on this one.
Yeah, go for it.
I don't know. Sometimes I think, like, if I were running for the same position, how could I sabotage the other candidates, And it seems to me a really effective way would be to, like, have some really controversial group go and rally for one of those people, Sometimes it just makes me wonder how much of this is actually set up to, like, do the opposite of, what it purports itself to do.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, see, you got a point. I know recently in Nevada, the nurses union have endorsed Bernie Sanders, and a bunch of people from Hillary Clinton's campaign were putting on red shirts just like the nurses union, and we're going around telling people to vote for Hillary. And I mean, there a bunch of shit like that happened just recently in Nevada and stuff, and it's it just drives me nuts. And who knows, maybe fucking Ted Cruz's people fucking went to these people and said endorse
right
Trump. And
yeah, a lot of this seems like theatrics to me. I mean, especially with this whole Bundy standoff situation that came down again in Oregon, and the way that played out just made no sense. And it creates, the stigma in people's minds around gun owners and, Republicans and constitutionalists and things like that. And I think it's purely for the sake of segregation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you keep us separated, we're not going to unite and
exactly. So when people
go
like
against what we really need to be fighting for,
right?
And
so when people like that go and rally or protest on behalf of a candidate or something like that, it's that impression that it gives, or that stigma follows it to that candidate.
Yeah, agreed.
But I think the fact that Trump, has said he wants this wall, and he's said some pretty bigoted things.
He definitely
I
has.
can totally see a group like this just being
sure.
like,
yeah,
I'm totally open to being wrong about that.
Hoorah, Donald Trump,
He's already digging his own political grave, like, on many fronts, so.
And this is the reason why I think anybody but Rubio who comes out of the Republican side is going to be pretty fucked, no matter whether they face Bernie or Hillary. Even though Hillary's unfavorables are really high, you have to have, this is why Mitt Romney lost, is because he didn't have any Hispanic vote, and he didn't have the minority vote at all behind him. So on that very important swing demographic, which was the Hispanic vote, Mitt Romney got crushed by Obama.
Yeah.
Thank
God.
And so let's go back to a couple of stats. The first one is that as far as the regular delegates go, Clinton won 19 delegates to Bernie Sanders 15.
Yeah.
I can definitely confirm that Trump won all 50 delegates for South Carolina, which
That's
puts
so
him,
fucking crazy.
which puts him at a pretty monstrable lead. 67 to the next closest delegate count, which is Ted Cruz with 11. And then Marco Rubio with 10. Yeah, dude, right now Donald Trump is poised to completely run away with the Democratic or the Republican nominee.
Really?
Yeah.
That is so crazy.
And to spend a second on this, I think that he isn't going to necessarily be the winner if the Republicans take one tactic, and that is for everybody besides one candidate, whether it's Cruz or Rubio, and then whoever is left, and they have to do this
They
essentially.
all endorse one.
No, they don't even have to endorse it, because Donald Trump's unfavorables are sky high too, just like Hillary Clinton's are.
Yeah.
And so if Cruz or Rubio, just one of them were to run and everybody else dropped out, they would win. They would have something like 55% of the Republican vote moving forward. And on those states where you win all, where winner takes all, he would just get crushed.
Okay.
Trump would. But they're not going to do that. You think Cruz and Rubio are both going to drop? Fuck no.
No. Yeah.
So Super Tuesday is going to be essentially where Trump has a really good chance of locking the entire Republican race up.
And if you're in those Super Tuesday states, try to get that day off of work, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take vacation that day. Also, we're in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, we aren't on Super Tuesday.
Oh, we're not Super.
No.
March 22nd.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's the next one, right?
Yeah, Super
After
Tuesday is March 1st.
Yeah.
And that's a really important day for voting. One more thing, and let's kind of talk about this. So, different story is that Bush decided to drop. Matt, we can kind of hear you still, just so you know. That was funny. All of a sudden, you hear whispering behind me. Fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
But
Matt's having computer problems over here.
yeah, so
Matt, quit. You need to stop watching so much damn porn on that.
Jeb Bush dropped his candidacy. Do we want to have a moment of silence for his candidacy?
No.
No,
No.
We could let a stinky fart for that.
Yeah, for real, huh?
dude. I can't believe that at one point he had to tell an audience that he was speaking to, please clap.
Oh, Jesus.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Please
It's an
clap.
awesome video.
For real?
He said
Wow.
something and kind of paused, like waiting for everybody to woo.
Yeah.
And he just stood there for a second, then went, please clap.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
Yeah, they did clap. But yeah, it was
After
After he asked him?
yeah.
After they laughed. They laughed for a second and then started clapping. And these are Bush supporters, which makes
Yeah.
it the funniest. You
yeah,
know?
and this is Bush's campaign. Also, he had a moment where he's the only
Family
speaker.
proud, son.
Yeah, he's the only speaker at this dinner, and he's just presenting. And then like partway through his speech, the guy who's like interrupts him, and it's like your time's over. And then Jeb Bush, instead of being smart and saying, "Oh, let me just finish these thoughts up," he instead says, "Oh, okay," and stops mid fucking sentence, walks off stage, and sits down at a table and just sits by himself at a fucking table. It was ridiculous. Like
Somebody
no
like bring him
exaggeration.
some cookies and milk, like pat him on the back.
It's okay, buddy.
Yeah.
Rub his head.
And you have to wonder, like, and
I
I brought
live in your
this.
brother's shoes.
I brought this up to a friend, and I'm like, do you think he ever just goes home, like, looks himself in the mirror and says, "You're losing to a fucking reality star. What the fuck is wrong with you?"
It's like that whole Peyton Manning thing. When they won the Super Bowl, it showed his brother.
Yeah.
And he was just like all like dead stare, like everyone around him's like, yeah.
Well, he didn't win. That wasn't the winning throw.
or
but
whatever
yeah,
it
he was totally
you know,
zoned
they're
out.
like, he got a 10th Super Bowl ring, and he was just like, his brother was just standing there.
Yeah.
Just, it was pretty funny.
yeah, but that
That
was
reminds me of the Bush family.
yeah.
I like the analogy.
And then going back to the Donald Trump thing, one thing I did want to say is that somebody put a swastika on
his
on a
star.
star, and the caption that was with it on the picture that I saw said, "No one can tell if this was done by a supporter or somebody against him."
Yeah, for real, huh?
It's true.
Yeah, and the swastika was backwards, so it wasn't a correct swastika, and still
It was the
we-
peace
we
swastika.
We can't decide whether it was done by a supporter or not.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, they're that dumb.
Swastika.
All right, so next story is Matt. We're too. Actually, I guess that's me because Joe had me pull up the story.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, what we're gonna bring up now is what was it last week? One of the last podcasts we did, we talked about the Kentucky lawmaker. She's a Democrat, and she proposed a bill that would make anyone who's going to get Viagra would have to get written permission from their wives.
Yeah,
What? From their wives?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say doctors. But
No, from their wives. They have to have permission from their wives in order to get Viagra.
So-
Wow, that's like the ultimate form of social emasculation.
Yeah,
yeah,
so-
well, she did it on purpose as a troll.
yeah. Let me
Okay.
cover the story.
Yeah, sure.
So coming from the this is actually I pulled the story from Fox News. And here's how it starts with. A Kentucky lawmaker has put forward a bill that would require men to visit a doctor at least twice and obtain a signed permission slip from their wives before they could obtain a prescription for erectile dysfunction drug Viagra.
Wait, I got a question, though. So, what if you're not married?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We discussed this
Oh.
last time, all the
Okay.
provocations with it and everything, but
And reading more on it this week, if you're not married, you can't get it under this Kentucky law.
Really?
Yeah, but it's not going to pass. And
Yeah.
here's her talking about her own bill. Marzian said her bill is meant to illustrate the absurdity of government encroachment into women's personal and medical decisions currently running amok in the Kentucky General Assembly. So yeah, that's
that's awesome.
So basically,
So
she
fire
did it
with fire.
Yeah, basically, because they said I think Kentucky passed a law or a bill, or they're trying to, that would make it so if you wanted to receive an abortion, whether it be medically, like a medical emergency or anything, that you would have to go seek therapy the day before and wait 24 hours. It's like, it's ridiculous, you know?
Yeah.
And so basically, she just turned around and sent this bill in just to say, all right, well, if you want to control a woman's reproductive rights like that and so extremely, then fuck you. We can do this. And so it's a troll. She knows it's not going to pass. And after reading more up on the story, I was like, you know what? Yeah, fuck yeah. Dude.
And that's
Put rules on your boner.
Yeah.
and that's kind of why I laughed at it last week and said, finally, we're seeing it on the men's side, just kind of jokingly.
Yeah.
But you were spot on.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
were spot on about it. Yeah.
And one other thing, and I think Cam wanted to touch on it about this story, was fighting fire with fire. That's right. I'm not sure if I agree with the tactics.
Right.
Well, yeah, and God, in this day and age, I mean, she knows the story's going to get out if she does something like that, so maybe that's why she did
That's
it
definitely
anyway.
why. And her tactics were very not persuasive, but I mean, like, it made all the news.
Eye-opening.
Yeah.
And-
Well, I think in this country lately, especially, we've seen a precedent set with social politics that the ends just has to justify the means.
Yeah.
Right. And so I kind of see this as an example of that, because, I mean, essentially what they're doing is, like, not addressing the actual issue, being that you shouldn't, as another person, have rights to dictate how I live my life. But to prove the point, they're doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I agree. Maybe it isn't the right way to go about it, but at least it's gotten national news and people are understanding why
Sure.
she's done it now.
But now that it does have that national attention, lead by example.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, come out as a troll and then do the
Say,
right
yeah,
thing to rectify the situation.
Yeah, I'm not going to even put forth this bill anymore, but I just
Pull
want
it
people
out.
to pull it out, and
Yeah.
just, I want people to understand that, you know, it's give and take. We need to have mutual respect for each other.
Yep.
That's right.
Boner.
Yeah, you're not allowed to have that.
You can't have a boner without your wife's permission.
All right, so Matt has the next set of stories. They're kind of going to try and roll all three into one.
Yeah, so I'm just going to go through and give you a brief, little tidbit on each one, and then we'll discuss them. So, Kentucky Senate creates a separate marriage license for gay couples. It did pass the Republican State Senate in Kentucky, and it creates two separate marriage license forms, one for straight couples and the other for gay couples. And the bill is intended to create a new license that no longer required the names of county clerks.
Yeah, you can't do this, and we'll talk about it in a minute once we get all three stories out.
Yep. And then another one from our home state, Utah. An anti-gay Republican creates marriage sovereignty out of thin air to try to ban gays from adopting. So what they're trying to do, and I expect this one to pass as well, but I'm sure
You expect it to pass?
pass here in Utah, and then I think the state will end up getting sued, and it'll go to a higher court, and then they'll overturn it. I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
But so this bill, it declares that the state, while recognizing and complying with judicial requirements, reserves the right to regulate domestic relationships within the state. And within the bill, it talks about adoption and children specifically. And then the next one, sponsors of Georgia's religious freedom bill has no problem knowing it would protect the KKK. So, let's see. Georgia Senate Republicans today passed a likely unconstitutional religious freedom bill designed to offer special protections to people who oppose same-sex marriage and LGBT people. Now, when they were discussing the bill, an opposing senator asked the guy sponsoring the bill, you understand this will also protect the KKK, right? And the guy said yes. And then he said, do you have a problem with that? And the guy said no.
So wait, was it the Democrat? I'm sure the Democrat was on the opposing side, right?
Yes.
So was it the Democrat answering the second question or asking the second question?
He asked both questions.
Okay.
The Republican answered both.
Yeah, so let's tackle the first thing that might be made into an issue, even though it's really a non-issue, is that I'm all for the First Amendment in protecting speech of the Ku Klux Klan or whoever. I'm also for religious bigots having the right to worship in their churches. It's when you start legislating it that it's no longer religiously protected, and then also with freedom of speech, creating a special privilege for someone is not freedom of speech.
It's a theocracy, and this is a step towards it.
Yeah, creeping theocracy is what I've heard it termed as. But yeah, let's now talk about the main issue. Can these bills? So you think the second one will pass? We just elected a same-sex or
The one here in Utah?
yeah, we just elected a
Yes.
mayor who's
The mayor
is
lesbian.
Yes.
She's the mayor of Salt Lake City, which is more democratic. But when you look at the state as a whole, the state is extremely conservative.
It doesn't matter. It depends on the representatives and them knowing what the
Yes.
fucking law is.
And I think most of our representatives are right-wing nuts.
fucking retarded.
The guy who
Sorry for
sponsored
you-
this bill,
Until November.
And
LeVar Christensen, he also wrote the bill that denied gay marriage here in Utah years before.
Yeah, and I just used a derogatory that I don't usually use, and I apologize for
What was it?
that. The R word.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not a word I'm a fan of, but I'm frustrated. So yeah, I am taking a law class, and that doesn't make me an expert, so don't treat me as an expert. But it's fairly obvious to me from the little education I have that there's no way that any of these would uphold in a court.
Oh, I completely agree. Because one or two of them have passed, in the Senate. But I think as soon as somebody sues and it goes to a higher court, it's going to be overturned.
Yeah, the third one, the Establishment Clause, blatantly destroys the third one. And the first two, we've already had that decision come down from the Supreme Court last year. That's what the decision was.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Well, I think in a big way for it to pass is for it to serve a specific agenda, whether they anticipate any longevity or, any actual positive change coming from it, I think is kind of beside the point. I mean, there's a pattern that keeps reoccurring in this country where these situations keep getting set up over and over, and the wrong decisions keep getting made and then gone back on. And I think that's kind of the point, is to, really confuse people, confuse the situation, and more or less make them attack each other over it.
Yeah, it's easier to manipulate people when you have them against each other. I do agree with that.
Yeah, and we'll cover that a lot more in depth in the second half.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think it's pretty sad that we have to keep doing this
and
and wasting tax dollar money because somebody's going to sue them, and then the state is going to go to court and defend it and waste our tax money. And
Right.
it's pretty irritating.
Well, and it supplements, mainstream news agencies. It gives them something to talk about. Gives, some water cooler chat or whatever at the office, and I think a lot of those dialogues are so misinformed to start with that they don't produce any fruit, and its lack of fruitfulness is kind of why it perpetuates itself, because it just creates more confusion. That confusion has to be addressed again. That poses more questions, and they tackle it in the same logically false approach.
I don't see how it's confusion. I mean, all I see are people who are religiously bigoted, and they can't stand their religion being knocked off its pedestal, and they want to keep pushing their religious agenda, and then everybody else has got to fight back to it.
Fair enough, but I think the idea of an agenda in the first place kind of is indicative of confusion. I mean, the idea that we need to control each other, that people can't control themselves, they can't be left to their own decision-making, is kind of the confusion that spawns all of these dialogues.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
So, and again,
Gotcha.
we'll cover that more detailed in a second.
So that's okay.
let's go to. We've got 5 minutes, so let's touch on the next one and see if we can fit 2 more in.
All right. So it's funny. We just did these 3 anti-gay bills. We just talked about those 3, and a new study finds that homophobic people are actually more likely to be gay. We touched on this last week, and
Who would have guessed?
yeah, it was pure speculation, and I'm sure most people have talked about this or realized this, but now a study has come out that suggests it may be true. So a study has found that people who display homophobic tendencies are more likely to be gay. Teams at the University of Rochester in New York, the University of California, and the University of Essex found that individuals who identify as straight often showed a strong attraction to the same sex in psychological tests. And it goes on to explain, if you're a homophobe, you're probably gay.
See, and that's funny because, I mean, that's something I witnessed and realized back when I was in high school. I was like, man, these guys hate hate gay people. And then later on, it turns out a couple of stories come out. It's because they're gay themselves. And I mean, that's something I've always kind of considered. Yeah, most homophobic people usually turn out gay, and that's always a thought that I've had. But it's cool that there's an actual study backing that up.
Mm-hmm. And it's pure projection,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
because they are gay and they are taught,
That it's wrong and-
and they shouldn't feel this way, and they're fighting it with all their might, and then they see gay people enjoying the gayness,
And they get mad.
they get mad, and they want to be gay because they're fucking gay.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, I'm sure, is mostly subconscious,
Oh yeah.
But I'm reminded of a quote from a great mind by a guy named Greg Braden. He said, "You experience most that what you pay the most focus."
Yeah.
And look at the focus that they pay to that, to homophobic behavior, tendencies, dialogue. Sorry, I keep bumping the table.
Oh, it's fine. But no, it's true. It's
Yeah.
like if you're so interested in it, buddy, maybe you need to
Go do a case study on it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's try and fit in the secular story, and then we'll call this half good.
Alrighty.
So,
I have a science story still.
yeah, so we'll have to move that to the second half if we're going
Okay.
to stay in our time budget.
That's totally fine.
We did upgrade speakers, so we can go over now. We don't have to stick straight to half an hour. We have a little extra time, but which is cool because now you can find us again on Spreaker, which means that once we figure out the goddamn iTunes thing, you can find us on iTunes as well. But
Yeah.
Matt and me have been banging heads and not been able to solve that issue.
Also, and then maybe
Yes.
we can ask a lot of our listeners if they wouldn't mind us going a little longer, maybe comment or
Sure, comment on this. And this is a video that I've been meaning to make, and there's something that you've been meaning to make, or that I think you guys should make. Is that I think what I would like to do on my channel, at least ZZZ Giant Awake, is post a video saying, hey, you want to know how to get me to make a video on any topic you want on ZZZ Giant Awake, is become a member of the Facebook group, The Evil Atheists. Also to subscribe to this channel, Recklessly Skeptical, or add us on the podcast, and then subscribe to me on ZZZ Giant Awake, and then post on The Evil Atheist what topic you want me to, and I'll make a video, and I think you guys should do the same.
okay.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Expect that video soon.
Yeah. All right, so Matt, you
All right.
good to go?
Yep. So the secular story this week is an Alabama teacher distributed Bibles to her 5th graders in class.
Oh, fuck, for real?
Yep. So this is from Pathos. Let's see.
I love the South, dude. I love the South.
The
All good things come from the South.
yeah, and the
It's funny
Satanist,
watching you keep a
the
straight face.
Satanist
I
group.
know I couldn't do it.
The Satanist group that's in the South is fantastic because there was a time when they
I
were
love 'em.
doing something like this to children, where they were handing out religious documents, and so the Temple of Satan, instead of doing what us atheists have to do, which is try and get it out, they said, oh well, we're gonna come and bring our stuff in, and they sue and they get permission to,
Yeah.
and then they bring in satanic stuff like coloring books that have, and you can get this coloring book online if you just Google search it. like coloring books that have Baphomet as one of the main characters and all friendly with the children and stuff.
I love the Satanists. So this story, and the shitty thing is, this was a group of 5th graders, so they're little fucking kids.
Indoctrination,
It's
you
too
know?
impressionable.
Yeah,
The-
exactly.
The teacher placed a stack of Bibles on her desk and instructed students to take one. The teacher told students that all 5th graders within the school were receiving Bibles in this manner. So,
She didn't hand them to
No,
him
she-
and give them to him. She put them on her desk and said, "Take one."
take one, and then she lied and said all the 5th graders were receiving Bibles
When
from
they
the
weren't.
school, but it was only her and her class.
Oh my god.
You know what though? If I end up having kids and I think it's part of their raising, I do want to expose them to religion fairly.
Oh
early
yeah,
on.
well,
totally.
yeah.
And I
Right. It's just not a teacher's
Yeah, it definitely
place to be doing that.
Definitely,
and
Agreed,
she's
agreed.
pushing her religion. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
if imagine like this is a small story, nobody's heard of it, but imagine if a teacher
Did that with
With a
a Muslim and a Quran?
with a
Yeah.
Quran or like the Satanic Bible or something, dude,
People
that would
would
be national
lose-
news,
yeah.
and people would freak the fuck out. But when it's your pet religion, you know, of this country, it's hush hush. It's not a big deal. But the atheists in wherever the hell this is, I forgot, are Alabama. Yes, they're fighting it. So
Yeah.
Well, good. Yeah, and I don't know. That's
It's
God-
one thing to offer one, but to give an instruction to pick it up, I mean,
Yeah, and I mean, like with me and my kids, like, it's like, look, I tell my daughter about Christianity, I tell her about Islam, I tell her about all of it, Buddhism, you know, whatever, you know, and then I tell her about my secular beliefs, and I give her the information for her to make a reasonable, just decision in her life.
Yeah.
I don't take this, read that, and believe in it. You
And
know,
I-
because that's exactly what that
and
is.
I never tell my daughter that she needs to be an atheist, or you know,
Yeah,
like you're
exactly.
saying. When she asks me if there's a God or whatever, I tell her I don't know, because I'm an agnostic. I don't know, but I'm an atheist. I don't believe.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and one final point, and again, I just want to emphasize that I'm a secularist. The one thing that I don't find too distressing about this story is that what 5th grader is going to read the fucking Bible? Like,
here's where the difference would be: is if she starts giving assignments on it, or
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
If she were to
which
start
I'm
doing that.
sure she.
no,
Yeah, I
no.
wasn't
well,
there.
we can't speculate
Yeah,
yet. But I mean,
true.
let the news unfold on its own and kind of follow it from there. But I mean, it's one thing to like again present the opportunity. It's another thing to force participation.
Yeah.
and if she's, you know, saying you guys can take one if you want, if she wants to do the true right thing, she should have a shit ton of different holy books there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
True.
I hope you guys enjoyed the format or the fact that we can run over by a little bit. I think those last couple of minutes were actually really good and valuable, instead of having to have the rap time against our backs. But that's time. So
All right, thanks guys.
Does this mean we have to say goodbye?
we do?
for now, we come back and with the second half right after.
Yeah.
I got time to pee.
All right.
yeah. We usually have a smoke break, go pee, drink a beer.
All right,
but-
check us out on YouTube, Recklessly Skeptical, and check us out on Spreaker and Facebook, The Evil Atheist.
group page.
Thank you guys.
Bye bye.
Masturbate.
Bye.